how to set boundaries without feeling guilty. Let me ask you something, and I want you to really feel this before you answer. When was the last time you said no to someone and actually felt okay about it? Not guilty, not anxious, not spending the next 3 hours replaying the conversation in your head, wondering if you hurt them, wondering if you were too much, wondering if they're upset with you now. If you're struggling to remember that moment, this video is for you because today we are talking about something that sounds simple on the surface, but for a lot of people feels almost impossible in real life. Setting boundaries without the guilt that follows, without the apology that comes right after, without the slow erosion of the limit you just tried to set because their discomfort felt more urgent than your peace. Welcome back to Inner Echoes Collective. If you're new here, I'm so glad you found this space today because what we're about to go into is going to change the way you see yourself in every relationship in your life, not just romantic ones, family, friendships, work, all of it. Stay with me. What boundaries actually are. Before we get into the list, I want to clear something up because boundaries have become one of the most talked about and most misunderstood concepts in the self help space. A boundary is not a wall, it is not punishment. It is not something you use to control what other people do. A boundary is a declaration of what you will and will not accept in your own life. It's the line between where you end and where someone else begins. And here's the part most people miss: a boundary is not for them, it's for you. You are not setting a boundary to change their behavior. You are setting a boundary to protect your own peace, to honor your own needs, to live in alignment with who you actually are instead of who everyone else needs you to be. And yet, even knowing all of that, the guilt still comes. So let's talk about why. Why guilt follows every boundary. You try to set the guilt you feel when you set a boundary is not a sign that you did something wrong. It is a sign that you were taught something wrong. Somewhere along the way, in your family, in your relationships, in the way love was modeled for you, you learned that your needs come last, that being a good person means being available, that love looks like endless accommodation, that saying no means you don't care enough. And those lessons didn't arrive with a warning label. They arrived as normal, as just the way things are, as what people who love each other do. So now, when you try to do something different, when you try to honor yourself for once, your nervous system sends an alarm. Something is wrong. You're being selfish. They need you. Who are you to say no? That alarm is not your conscience. That alarm is conditioning. And conditioning can be unlearned. But first, you have to understand it. The top 10 boundaries that will change your life. Let's get into it. These are not abstract concepts. These are real, specific, livable boundaries that will transform the quality of your relationships and the quality of your inner life. And for each one, I'm going to tell you not just what it is, but why it matters and what it sounds like when you actually use it. Number one, the boundary of your time. Your time is the most non renewable resource you have. You cannot make more of it. You cannot get back what you give away. And yet, most people treat their time like it belongs to everyone else first and themselves last. Setting a time boundary means deciding in advance how much of your time you're willing to give to a person, a situation, or a commitment, and honoring that decision even when it's uncomfortable. It sounds like, I have time for this until 3 p.m. and then I need to go. I can't commit to that right now. I need this evening for myself. Simple sentences. But for people who have never said them, they feel revolutionary. And the guilt that comes after them is not proof that you were wrong. It's proof that you're doing something new. Number two, the boundary of your emotional energy. Not everyone deserves access to your deepest emotional self. Not every conversation needs your full presence. Not every person in your life has earned the right to your vulnerability. This boundary is about recognizing when you are being emotionally drained versus emotionally nourished by a connection. and giving yourself permission to step back from the ones that consistently take without reciprocating. It sounds like I don't have the emotional capacity for this conversation right now. I care about you, but I can't be the person you process everything with. I need to step back from this for my own well being. This is not abandonment, this is self preservation. And there is a profound difference between the two. Number three, the boundary of your physical space. Your body is yours, your personal space is yours, and you do not owe anyone physical access to either of them. Not out of politeness, not out of obligation, not because they're family, not because they're upset that you said no. This boundary is often the hardest for people who grew up in environments where physical boundaries were routinely ignored or dismissed, where saying no to a hug or a touch was treated as rudeness or rejection. But your body has always been your own. And reclaiming that, even quietly, even just internally, is one of the most powerful acts of self respect you can do. It sounds like I'm not comfortable with that. Please don't do that. I need some physical space right now. You don't need to explain further. The boundary is complete as stated. Number four, the boundary of your mental peace. This one is subtle, but life changing. Your mental peace is something you are allowed to actively protect. That means limiting conversations that leave you consistently anxious, confused, or destabilized. It means recognizing when someone's energy disrupts your inner equilibrium every single time. It means deciding that your mental state is not collateral damage for someone else's unprocessed emotions. It sounds like I can't continue this conversation when it goes in this direction. I need to step away from this. I'm not available for this kind of interaction. And then this is the part people struggle with most: following through, without explaining every reason why, without justifying yourself until they understand. The boundary stands whether they accept it or not. Number five, the boundary of your values. This is the boundary that defines your character. Your values mean what you believe is right, what you stand for, what you are and are not willing to participate in, are not negotiable. Not for a relationship, not for belonging, not for the approval of someone who benefits from you having no standards. When someone asks you to compromise what you fundamentally believe in to make them comfortable, that is not love asking, that is control asking, and it deserves a firm and loving no. It sounds like that doesn't align with who I am. I'm not able to support that. This is where I stand, and that's not going to change. Your values are the foundation of your identity. Protect them like it. Number six, the boundary of unsolicited advice and opinions. Not everyone who has an opinion about your life has earned the right to share it. Not every critique deserves your full consideration. Not every person offering advice about your choices, your relationships, your body, your career is coming from a place that serves you. Some of it is projection, some of it is control, some of it is people who are uncomfortable with the way you're growing because it highlights where they've stayed still. You are allowed to close the door on opinions that don't serve your growth. It sounds like I appreciate your concern, but I'm not looking for input on this. I've made my decision. I don't need advice on this right now. And then letting the discomfort of their reaction exist without fixing it. Number seven, the boundary of communication style. How someone speaks to you matters. The tone they use, the words they choose, the way they fight, disagree, or express frustration. You are allowed to have standards for how you are spoken to, and you are allowed to end conversations that cross those standards, not as a punishment, but as a protection of your own dignity. It sounds like I'm not going to continue this conversation while it's happening this way. When you speak to me like that, I shut down. I need us to try again differently. I deserve to be spoken to with respect, and I'm going to hold that standard. The way someone speaks to you in conflict tells you everything about how they view you when they feel entitled to their worst. Don't ignore that information. Number eight, the boundary of your healing. This one is for the people who are actively doing the work, who are in therapy, in self discovery, in the slow and nonlinear process of becoming someone healthier. You are allowed to protect your healing from people who benefit from you staying broken. You are allowed to create distance from relationships that pull you backward every time you take a step forward. You are allowed to say, I am changing, and not everyone from my old life gets to come with me into my new one. That is not abandonment. That is evolution. And evolution requires leaving some things behind to make room for what's coming. It sounds like, I can't be around this energy right now. This relationship isn't supporting where I'm trying to go. I need to prioritize my growth, even if that's hard for you to understand. Your healing is sacred. Treat it like it is. Number nine, the boundary of your availability. You are not required to be available to everyone all of the time. You are not obligated to respond immediately. You are not on call for every emotional emergency that doesn't involve you. You are a person with a life, with energy limits, with your own inner world that requires tending. And the expectation that you should always be reachable, always responsive, always present for everyone else is an expectation you are allowed to release. It sounds like, I'll get back to you when I'm able to. I'm not in a place to take this on right now. I need time before I can respond to this. And here's the truth that changes everything about this one. The people who genuinely respect you will respect your response time. The people who don't are revealing something important about what they actually value. It's not you, it's your availability. And that distinction matters. Number 10, the boundary of your future self. This is the boundary that most people have never even considered. Every choice you make today is either protecting or compromising the person you are becoming. Every time you abandon a boundary to keep someone else comfortable, you are making a decision about your future. Every time you honor a limit, even when it's uncomfortable, you are making a different decision. The boundary of your future self is this: before you say yes to something that doesn't feel right, ask yourself, is this serving who I'm becoming, or is this keeping me who I've been? Because you are not just setting boundaries for the person you are today, you are setting them for the person you are working every day to become. And that person deserves to be protected starting right now. Not when things get better, not when you feel ready. Now, how to set boundaries without the guilt. So now that you know what the boundaries are, let's talk about how to actually set them without the guilt dismantling everything the moment you try. Because the guilt will come. Let me be clear about that. The guilt is not a sign you were wrong. It is a sign you are doing something new, something unfamiliar, something your nervous system doesn't have a blueprint for yet. And the way through it is not to wait until the guilt disappears before you set the boundary. The way through it is to set the boundary and then sit with the guilt. Feel it, name it, and then let it exist without acting on it. Because every time you hold a boundary, through the discomfort of the guilt that follows, you teach yourself something profound. You teach yourself that you can survive someone's disappointment, that their discomfort is not your emergency, that the world does not end when you choose yourself. And slowly, not all at once, the guilt gets quieter, not because you've become cold, but because you've become clear. The truth about guilt and boundaries. I want to leave you with this. Guilt after a boundary is not proof that you did something wrong. In most cases, it is proof that you did something right for the very first time. The people who react with anger, withdrawal, or manipulation when you set a limit are not showing you that your boundary was wrong. They are showing you exactly why the boundary was necessary. People who respect you will adjust. People who were benefiting from your lack of limits will resist. And the resistance itself is information. Let it inform you. Let it confirm what you already felt. And let it give you one more reason to hold the line. If you spent your whole life shrinking yourself to keep others comfortable, if you spent years saying yes when you meant no, if you've apologized for having needs, minimized your own feelings to manage everyone else's, I want you to hear this. You were not being loving, you were being self abandoning. And there is a version of you on the other side of this who sets limits with clarity and calm, who says no without a paragraph of explanation, who chooses their peace without guilt dismantling the decision, who shows up in relationships as a whole person with a self worth honoring, not as someone trying to earn their place by never asking for anything. That version of you is not far away. They are one boundary at a time, one uncomfortable moment at a time, one choice to honor yourself even when it's hard. You do not need permission to protect your peace. You never did. Before you go, I want to take a moment and say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for yourself today by choosing to learn, to grow, and to take up a little more space than you did yesterday. If this video moves something in you, please like it. Please share it with someone who needed to hear this today. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is your sign. Turn on your notifications so you never miss what's coming next, because we are just getting started. And what's ahead is going to go even deeper than today. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of the 10 boundaries do you struggle with the most? I read every single one, and I'll be right there in the comments with you. Take care of yourselves. Be gentle with yourselves. And remember, you are allowed to take up space. You always were. Stay blessed. God bless you always. Inner Echoes Collective. I will see you in the next one.